Hello and welcome back to Agency Ascend, the podcast exploring journeys and strategies of agency owners scaling their businesses to new heights. I'm your host, Chad Brummett, and today we have Christopher Lacey, joined by our special guest, Jeff Brewer, who is a key figure in the independent insurance community and executive director of IIAD. IIAD has been a real cornerstone in our industry, offering support to agencies every step of the way. From startup to succession planning, they're on a mission to advance, connect, and promote agencies, making a powerful impact in the North Texas insurance landscape. So let's dive in. Jeff, thanks so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you, Chad, for having me. I'm thrilled to be here. IIAD lives and we breathe air into our lungs to support our independent agencies here in Dallas and the cities that surround Dallas. So thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So just for some background for our listeners, Chris, how did the relationship between the Alliance and IIAD actually come together?
It kind of goes beyond even our organizations. I've known Jeff maybe more than 10 years.
15 years.
Yeah, 15 years. And when he was working for Safeco, we got connected. He's prior military, I'm prior military. So we sent some jabs at each other and just kind of.
So different branches, we take it?
Yeah, different branches.
If we're calling the Air Force military.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Okay.
we have nice facilities and carpet in our we actually get real food too. But aside from that, we would razz each other, and I was amazed at all the work that he was doing over at Safeco, and he'd pull me under his wing and say, "Hey, let me show you some of this cool stuff." So when he when he retired from Safeco. He was looking for where he's going to hang a shingle and joined the IIAD relationship and gave me a call and said, "Hey, Chris, I have this crazy idea about you joining or putting our forces together with IIAD." And I said, "I don't care what it is, as long as my members will benefit from it." And he goes, "Done." And fast forward to today. We have a partnership with them where anybody who joins our network immediately gets enrolled with Jeff Brewer's organization.
And it's so fantastic. And actually, I refer agents over to Coverica because I think it's the perfect fit for them. And some of the things that we do overlap, but so much of it doesn't overlap. So Chris and I work pretty closely and pretty hard to make sure we're complementary to each other's organizations.
Oh, that's awesome. So I take it since you came from Safeco background, IIAD's been around a long time, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So how did that presence actually come up in the area? And kind of like, what's the history that brought IIAD forward and made you want to join them?
So IIAD started almost 100 years ago. I think we'll be having our 100th anniversary in about 4 years.
So relatively new.
And it started for the exact same reason that it exists today. And that was a group of agents and a group of underwriters got together and thought the independent agents need better access to the resources because they don't have a parent company or they don't have a higher headquarters that can guide them on who's going to be my premium finance company. How do I get markets? How do I find technology? And a lot of things we'll be talking about today. And so to this day, the main focus of IIAD is to connect agents to resources. So IIAD today has grown to, we have thousands of agents across hundreds of agencies in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. We have thousands of employees of various insurance companies and MGAs and surplus lines and admitted carriers and so forth. We have hundreds of employees from premium finance companies. We have partners who are marketing specialists that can help agents market. We have members who are active that are banks that actually help insurance agencies, on their banking needs. We have an in-house recruiter that helps agents find talent that we'll be talking about. Epic and Easy Links and Applied are all members of the association. So whatever resource an agent needs is in the association, so they can find them.
And I would add one of the key things that I've always been a proponent of with IIAD is their involvement with the legislation side. So dealing with insurance reform, pushing out the lobbyist, that was a big distinction that I think IIAD does very well. So I wanted to get involved with that aspect and get a lot of our members in the DFW area involved with that. because this is really kind of where the rubber meets the road when it comes to our policies changing for the future.
Absolutely. And when we talk about future, there's challenges. We all know it's a difficult market right now, right? But there has to be some synergy and benefit that comes from having resources like IIAD. Mm-hmm. So specifically, what are some of those challenges that you actually see or common issues that we see with those independent agencies? Mm-hmm. And how is it that we're able to leverage IIAD to help solve those?
Yeah, so I would say, when you're coming into the independent side of the house, it's a lot of newness, especially if you're a captive. You came from, like, say, Farmers, State Farm, and you come in here, and typically things that would be handled 100% by that captive as an independent, it's all up to you. So getting involved with industry leaders or where you can rub shoulders with other agencies is where you're going to learn who are the big players in the space, what resources are available to you. And so getting involved, at a minimum, you should be involved with IIAD right from the get-go, because that's where you're going to see kind of the entry level with those partnerships and relationships. It's a lot to overcome as far as a knowledge gap that you're dealing with. And so just being in the room with these guys will help you excel much faster. Then you get into the whole space like what we represent, which is more the networking side that says, okay, now that you have that fundamental understanding and you've got some of those relationships, now we can really help you extend to what that marketplace needs. But I don't know how one joins the independent network or side really without having relationships. IIAD is a big proponent of building you those relationships.
And what do those relationships look like, especially around like legislation? I'm sure there has to be things that y'all can tackle that an independent just couldn't on their own, or even we can't as an alliance, right?
Yeah, actually, we're doing a lot of work this year and the last year with both the Texans for Lawsuit Reform and the Lone Star Economic Alliance, both nonpartisan groups, right? And then also our Big I for the state, Independent Insurance Agencies of Texas, has a political lobby that we support and help encourage our agents to support called Impact. And they're working specifically this year on really key issues tied to trying to bring rates back down, right? Property rates back down and fighting property fraud, property insurance fraud, fighting a lot of the issues that we've seen with unscrupulous roofing contractors, fighting public adjusters, and maybe making it a little bit upping the bar for what you have to be professionally to be a public adjuster. We're working with Texas for Lawsuit Reform specifically on third-party litigation funding and trying to mitigate those things, because these are the things that are driving the wild rate increases that we've seen at both the commercial and personal line side and DFW this year.
And then as a independent agent, how is it that I can get involved and actually help with that?
It's actually key that they do get involved, because these organizations do great work, but what they really need is the independent agents to reach out to their own client base, right? Mm-hmm. And we put together, whether they're letters or phone conversations or whatever, scripts for them. Here's your representative. You're the business person in this, because all these are state laws, right? And they're all made in the districts where the people live and work.
Right.
So how do you get to your client base to talk to their local representative about third-party litigation funding and making sure that juries know who they're rewarding when they're giving awards on cases and so forth. So it's a two-way street. Yes, we give some money to Impact and we partner with these others, but they actually need us and our activities with our local legislators as much or more than we need them.
Right. I could say that one of the recent wins, if you will, within that context was I think the carriers on the preferred market side branched together to basically get private equity funding of lawsuits and litigations to be disclosed in a court case. So whether we now know if it's coming from overseas to basically upset our foundation, or is it actually a legitimate case here in the States? So that's part of that work that's being looked at and really doesn't get a lot of lift until the business owners going all the way down to the mom and pop shops get involved, say, hey, I'm part of this situation that's affecting us and our family's ability to put food on the table. How can we address this? That's just getting involved is the start. And then obviously who you know, how you can get more from your client base or relationships that you have.
It's one thing when an insurance executive calls a legislator and says, I need help. But when the local pancake house owner calls them, or the local construction company calls them, or the local car wash, that is very powerful.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And when it comes to that type of activity, I'm assuming that there has to be some type of staff involved, right? Both at IIAD level, but then also at that independent agency level. So if it starts taking some time and energy and efforts, is there anything that IIAD does to help find staff, place staff, help you grow your agency, so that way the agency owner actually has time to come get involved and help spread that message, right?
And to clarify, the agencies don't tend to have a lot of staff oriented on legislation changes.
That's
right?
true. Yeah.
They focus on selling insurance and servicing customers, and that's where they need most of our help. In fact, I have a recruiter in-house for IIAD that in the short time I've been here, he's already placed 60 plus candidates in account manager and producer positions in those agencies. So,
and you can do a plug for him. It's John Spicer.
Insurance Employment Services.
I've talked to him a handful of times. Love the guy. He's good at what he does.
Yeah, reach out to Jeff at IIADallas.org if you want to get a hold of John.
Preferably after they join you, right? I mean, that's
Oh, that's phenomenal, because I know from other industries, just everything we read, finding good staff is very difficult. So knowing that we have a resource that we can go to help with that.
It was my number one star on your questions of the big problems agencies have. So.
Just to clarify, does he, because I think he works with pretty much any type of culture index, People Sense Consulting, or Colby reports, he'll work with all of them, or does he have a specific
He'll work
trait?
with all of them.
Yeah.
He works with them, because one of my favorite sayings is meet one independent agent and you've met one independent agent. You're all different, right? So John has to work with all those different systems. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, shifting a little bit, so we have the staff side, right, which is critical.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also this play for a thing called AI out there and technology, right? So how is it that we can leverage that, or that we are currently leveraging that in the marketplace?
So I'll take this one, Jeff, just because it's massively and rapidly changing. But right now within the SIAA world, they're switching over to Salesforce. We're seeing a lot of the partner carriers like Travelers, Hartford. A lot of them dip their toes within the Salesforce arena. And so that's allowing for AI or artificial intelligence to really come in after and or sync up to it. And so we're looking at here locally, how do we develop a complete management system housed within a Salesforce environment so that we can integrate some of those rudimentary tasks out to where it's being done by computers. The tech industry, and I don't know if you would agree with this, Jeff, but the insurance industry by and large has not been as accepting of technology over the last several decades.
Not on purpose, but you're correct. Yeah. I think they'd rather be more accepting.
Yeah, I think they would. It's just we were working on antiquated systems. Like I remember going back 15 years ago, everything was file-based. We had filing cabinets. Like this whole office would have been wall-to-wall filing cabinets. That's what we've gone from in the last 15 years. Ivan's download is relatively new within the space. And there's still agencies out there right now that aren't utilizing Ivan's being downloaded into their management system. So AI is, for a lot of agencies, really kind of the forbidden fruit. It's way out there to them. But the reality is it's here now. And I'm seeing more and more of the strategic partners and the carriers transition to that or adopting to it. So that, to me, that's going to be a huge lift in our industry and really help the mom and pop shops succeed and thrive. Because it's now getting to that point where we can bring it down to the smallest of agents.
And I'm grinning because technology is crucial and it's changing fast. But at the same time, for a small business, it can feel overwhelming. Right. And overwhelming can paralyze you sometimes when you're overwhelmed. So I know on the association side, what we're doing is we work with their main agency management systems, Applied, Epic, and some of the commercial ones coming out. We also work with, we have builders of chatbots that are part of the association now, right? And I don't even understand it during chatbot because I'm too old. One of the areas that really concerned me, especially when I came on board, because aside from all the association stuff, it's a small business. I'm running a small business.
Mm-hmm.
Is cyber defense and how easy it is to hack into systems and get.
Yep.
While we're a nonprofit, we run hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue through there every year. And I'm terrified that somebody's going to get in, get my customers' protected information. I'm going to lose credibility with my agents. And every agent has the same exact problem times 10, right? So we've done some work. We've brought some cyber defense firms to them. We've done some webinars on cyber defense. They'll be at our trade show. More of them will be.
I think you even, mean, in some of the workshops, you go into some of the basics of like, hey, this is what you can do right now.
Yes. One step at a time, cyber defense, right?
Yeah.
So to get over that paralysis, right? And then also, as AI continues to develop, we're using it, and our agents are using it, and they don't even know they're using it, right? Every time you upgrade your agency management system and it gets more intuitive, that's probably AI behind that, right? And so, but a lot of agents are having trouble getting their mind around what specifically can I do with AI for my agency. And I guarantee within a year or two, that's going to develop out, and we'll be all over that when it does.
So what I'm hearing is there's a growth component to the education, to the professional development for the agencies that come with IIAD, right?
Yes.
So webinars, next things, AI. What else is it that an agency could actually look at IIAD to help with for their professional development?
One of our favorite areas, and I survey my agents constantly on this, is continuing education. It's not the sexy AI stuff in it, but it's really important, and especially in the Texas insurance market where we don't even use ISO forms for policies, right? And so things are very different, and they change constantly. Think about how your agents are selling coverages for roofs now, and how much that's changed in 3 years, right? So we do a lot of continuing education. We probably have a continuing education event pretty much every month that's either free or very low cost. We partner with the National Alliance, Texas Surplus Lines Association, and several carriers to do those. So we're a good source for continuing education. Also, I'll give a plug to my higher dotted line partner, the Independent Insurance Agents of Texas. They do it as well, and we connect our agents to that. So continuing education. On top of that, we talk about staffing and trying to help agencies. So we have found that we can do some work with some local high schools, and we've actually helped National Alliance insert a CISR certification program into a couple of high schools. And now those students are coming out of those programs qualified to go work in their local agencies, right? So
a key point on that, because I know Watkins, which is one of our counterparts out in Austin, worked with Safeco and IIAT. You got to check that out because they're working with the local high schools, getting those kids. They're actually interested in insurance, which is unique, and they want to be in this industry. It's the craziest thing. And they're coming out with designations. They're coming out with their license out of high school. And so they'll have a career path for them long into the future. And these are they're partnering with even agencies to find them work and placement as soon as they get out of high school.
That's amazing.
And then the last area in that space I'll talk about is we've got a developing, we're in the final stages of developing a 501c3, and we've got a developing scholarship program where we'll be able to put together scholarship programs for our agents' families and other deserving college students around the city and around the state. So we're excited about that as well.
Oh, that's phenomenal. And one thing I would be remiss if I also didn't kind of put a question mark out there for you, Chris, on the education part. We have within the Alliance, we have our growth coaches. And we also have our Access Plus mentors.
Correct.
Right? And that's a layer of education and development for that agency and the owner that is probably really untapped.
Yeah. So the growth coach is it's kind of like a field rep position that understands all of your contract relationships. Where you can lean on for technology advancements, because our carrier partners, and Jeff has a lot of the same relationships, they offer education and training events that they'll offer scholarships to those types of deals. Same thing with the Access Plus mentors that we have coming beside our agents as they're really getting their relationships started and building traction there. The difference between, let's say, IIAD and the Alliance is you just have access to more. So IIAD is going to have some unique classes that are specific to them. I would definitely go look at their resources, what they have offering. At the same time, work with your growth coaches, work with your Access Plus mentors to say, hey, I have all these resources now. Where do I start? Let them help you navigate and guide, because that's what they're there for.
Kind of a cool story is recently, I had we won't name the agency or the people, but I had a soldier that I worked with in the National Guard that's going to become an insurance agency. And he's going to eventually buy out his father-in-law's agency.
Yeah.
Father-in-law's got a great agency, been around for years and years and years, not a big agency. But it really wasn't going to be big enough to support two breadwinners, get paid through that agency and so forth. They needed to grow. They needed coaching on how to grow. Plus this guy coming out of the National Guard, who's a great guy, had no insurance experience at all. Yeah. So Comerica was a great place to refer them over.
Yeah, I know which agent you're talking about. It was funny because this particular agent, the father-in-law, came out with a 6-month training and education plan specific for the guy that was getting out of the military come in, and it was beautiful. I mean, I told him, I was like, hey, can I have a copy of that? Because I was impressed. But it was funny because he called me, I don't know if it was like 2 weeks later, because our growth coach had been working with this agency, and he calls me up and says, hey, I just want you to know, I may have written a 6-month deal, but the resources you guys brought into the table, he goes, I had no idea the ocean that you guys had. And he goes, this is just, it was impeccable. So it was really the marriage of the two. You have a visionary, wanting to take care of his family, help his son-in-law who's coming into the business, and also big shout out because Jeff and I are both vets, and we have a soft spot for other veterans. We can't help it. It's just kind of in our blood.
He was an Air Force.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Right. So a true veteran.
It was like they call us the chair force. We have really expensive chairs, and I'm proud of that. So,
but I will say, Steve pulled me aside not long ago and just said that moving into Comerica was one of the best businesses he's ever made. So
yeah, that was awesome.
Happy.
Man, that's an awesome success story, and
I need to take a second and make sure my Air Force brothers and sisters know that I'm only teasing. I have tons of respect for you guys. You have bailed me out of more than one tight situation. So.
And likewise for me, my father was Air Force veteran, so I have a near and dear spot in my heart for them as well. And with those types of success stories, right? Like that, where we're helping transition from one generation to the next. That takes a lot of thought. That takes a lot of intentionality in everything that we do. Right.
Yeah.
So that's applied to the past. Looking forward, what are some of the things that agencies and their owners can look forward from IIAD as we move into the next year and years?
Yeah, this is a problem that we've been trying to address for about, 15, 20 years now. And our answer's been pretty cool. In fact, I went to one of the events the other night. So we have a group called Emerging Leaders. Actually, we call them Elite Dallas. And because it aligns with the state's Elite Texas program. But the E and the L stand for Emerging Leaders. And it's you got to be 45 years or younger to be in it. And the whole point is these are agencies or companies, people that are going to be working together for the next couple of decades at least, or the next 3 decades or even 4 decades, right? So we're introducing them to each other now through networking. They've got their own little association. It's not a little, it's a big association. They do events probably every 5 to 6 weeks and they do weird stuff because I'm an old guy and I don't understand it. We went to a bowling alley where we were throwing footballs at bowling pins, which I thought was crazy, but they had a blast at it, right? And then also business gets done at these events at the same time, right? New markets are created or moved. My sponsors, my associate members love to sponsor these events because they get great ROI on these things.
Right.
And they got their own organization. So the president's learning how to be president of a large organization and so forth. And it's just fun to watch these folks, and they're probably the funnest part of my team, right, is the Elite Dallas folks.
And I think for us here in the Alliance, what we're looking at doing, because we're going to be producing our calendar list of events, where we'll identify all the IIAD events that are coming up. So I would definitely sign up for the newsletter with IIAD so you can know what's going on, but also check out ours because we'll be publishing those, because we did the shotgun tournament last year, which was massively impressive.
Scholarship shootout.
That
money all goes to outreach. Yeah.
I cheated and I paid for the raffle. I bought like half the raffle tickets so that I could win the shotgun that they were presenting.
And you won it.
I did.
I was terrified you weren't going to win after you bought so many tickets.
It was for a good cause. It was worth it. But events like that where you can rub shoulders with your partners that you're going to be doing business with for the next 10, 20, 30 years.
Oh, that's phenomenal. And the cool part, right, is we're now measuring success beyond just a metric, right?
That's funny. What I thought, Chad, coming into this job, and what I understand now in terms of what is success equal and what are we trying to do are two different things, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I used to think I'm going to go recruit as many agencies as I can, and we're going to count agencies. Well, trying to count agencies is like holding water in your hand, right? Because heck, Coverica in my system looks like one agency.
Right.
It's 100 agencies or close to 100 agencies, right? And then agencies buy each other and merge all the time. No office is closed. People don't leave. You're not losing members.
Right.
But it looks like a stick count. So, and then if I go recruit an agency and I don't help them in any way, shape, or form, what have I accomplished, right?
Yeah.
So we're changing our focus into how do we better connect with and better serve the people and the agencies that we already have, from the receptionist to the owner, to the producer, to the account manager, to everybody in the agency. And so our events are not just relevant to one group of people. They're different events are relevant to different folks so that we can impact it. We just, for the last 2 or 3 weeks, we had a really cool account manager celebration where several Coverica account managers were there. They've been through a really hard couple of years in this insurance market, and we got to celebrate that with them. We had a giant golf tournament. We had 220 golfers out there. We had closed down 2 golf courses for the whole day, right?
Oh, wow.
And we've got an event coming up for our young producers in a few weeks. That's where we're going to be showing them how they can leverage loss control to better control their costs. Not A, better control their costs for their commercial customers, but B, maybe even pursue customers that they were out of their league before. Right. So
if I can add,
go ahead.
Because we're looking at all these events. This for the mom and pop shop, or let's say 1 to 20 person shop. Getting involved with like IIAD is an opportunity to expand beyond just your 4 walls of your office. So if you want young talent that's going to be coming through that says, hey, I may want to get another designation. I may want to grow my career. I may want to grow my understanding. There's no better place to go than to partner with IIAD and get that exposure. That's why it was a no-brainer when Jeff gave me a call and said, because I knew he was over at IIAD. So as soon as I got his call, I was like, yeah, this is a slam dunk. We're doing that.
That was an easy sale.
Yeah, I was such an easy sale. I know it's so bad, but
so let's segue
true.
from that, if that's all right, Chad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we use the word sale. No matter which city you're listening from, your local insurance association is probably the least expensive resource that you have to go to, because it's not an expensive thing. We're nonprofit organizations, right? For you to go meet these resources that you need for your agency. So I don't want to overuse the word sale. Yeah.
It was a no-brainer.
And so if it's a no-brainer, especially for that small to mid-size agency, right? One thing we haven't touched on is, what about that big agency?
Yeah.
What do we say to them for either the Alliance or IIAD, right? What's the advantage that we would offer them?
So a number of advantages. And first, I'll say the association probably wouldn't exist without over the last 96 years, leadership of those big agencies, right? They actually have held the organization together along with the carriers and the MGAs and the people that support it. And because I don't know of a single large agency that's really not in the association.
That's true.
And it's because they see the value in it. They see, okay, continued education helps everybody, right? They see a rising tide, right, floats all boats, right? They see that because even my big agencies, they compete against each other some, but 70% of this marketplace is not in the independent channel, right? So they see if they can make the independent channel better, they'll help their agency become better.
The larger agencies that have been part of IIAD, us or the retail side included, see it as an opportunity to train your future leaders of your organization. So if I take my executive team and they're getting involved with IIAD, they're going to be rubbing shoulders with other executive teams. So it's not just, hey, this is a small pool. No, these are where the big agencies go, and it's where you build better relationships. I'm trying to, off the top of my head, Kelsey has been the most recent leader, but she comes from a big agency, and she's literally going, I think she's primed and ready to kick her dad out and run the whole deal.
Yeah, I'm not going to speak to this issue.
No, I won't say their last name.
But she's a great leader.
She's phenomenal.
Prepared, yeah.
And I would say her involvement with IIAD really helped her achieve that next level, partnering for her dad's agency. I don't see how you don't get involved with it and pursue that.
Chris, Chad, Chris knows this. Kelsey hired me, so.
Okay.
Oh, well, yeah, but I would say I was at the Hartford summit with Kelsey and her husband works on the flight line. So he and I became really close friends.
Because you're
really
Air Force
quick.
guys.
Yes. Yeah. Flight line.
Yeah,
That's it. It's just, it just kind of goes. And so I think she got mad at us because we were like chatting.
Called it a bromance.
Yeah, and it was.
But that's exactly comes back to what we talked about earlier, right? Relationships. We all have those relationships with each other, and that's really kind of the underpinnings of IIAD.
And I wanted to add one more context because relationships is the whole key, right? Imagine in context, you're dealing with a tough, maybe your large commercial account missed a premium payment, their policies may be in danger of lapsing, and they may have to close down their business if you can't find a way to resolve it. Would you rather be working with the carrier that you already know the people that you're working with and you already have a good relationship with them? Or would you rather that be your first interaction with those people, right? And that's the reason for the association.
And if you view them as competitors, then that's one thing. I view it more as co-opetition, right? It's friendly co-op that you're battling, but it's also somebody you can reach out and say, hey, help me understand where I missed the boat or where I missed the mark.
Absolutely. And then also for the smaller agency, it also helps them see what that roadmap to get big, if that's their desire.
Yeah.
Right? Let me give you a couple of examples of that one. I got to personally witness, and it was kind of a holy moment for me to even, and I didn't cause it. I just witnessed it. So my current president is Russell Luttrell. He's with Prosperity Insurance Agency. He's up in Van Alstyne, Texas. So that's how far out we go. We go north to the Oklahoma border, folks. So don't think it's just Dallas. We're in a small agency in Mesquite, and she was struggling because in the commercial space, a lot of stuff that admitted carriers used to do, they won't do anymore, right? And so she's having to move more and more of it over to surplus lines, and the MGAs and the surplus lines carriers have been great for her, but that's more infrastructure and expense for the agent. It's probably way more expensive for the client. She was trying to find an admitted carrier on the commercial auto side that had a little bit more broad bandwidth and what they would take and what they could help her with. And Russell knew one. I won't say the name of the company, but he aligned her. He gave her the information and he contacted her with that territory manager. And it looks like she's going to get a contract with that company. And she didn't pay for that. That was just because of conversation they had, right? That's what the association is for.
Yeah.
And then a few weeks earlier on a kind of a different subject, I was with an agent in an agency in Wiley. And that agency, we were actually trying to recruit that agency. And he says, before we talk about joining IIAD, can you help me with a problem I have? I've got a guy set up that can really help me open up a life and health part of my agency. And we don't do that now. I've known the guy. He's professional. He's good. But I don't even know how to begin to set up that side of my agency. Well, this agent had just gone through all of that, right? So he helped him get started. And now that agent in Wiley has a whole new revenue source that he didn't have before.
Well, that's phenomenal.
So that's what the association is.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for your time, your energy, and it's inspiring to see what you and IIAD are doing for the insurance agencies here in North Texas. So thank you very much for that.
Thanks for having me, and forgive my raspy voice. Hopefully it'll be better in a couple of days.
Oh, that's awesome. So before we wrap up, we do have something that we do at the end of every show, and it's our share, right? So it's any books, podcasts, just kind of anything that you think our audience would benefit from hearing from. So, Jeff, how are you?
I got to be on the spot for this?
Yeah, you got to go first, man.
So probably the most impactful nonfiction book that I've read recently, and it's actually sort of changing the way I go through my week. It's called Holy Moments, written by, I think it's a priest named Matthew Kelly. And it's a stupid little short book, where you read the first 35, 40 pages, and you've kind of read the whole book, one of those. But it's really impactful because it talks about when you're helping somebody or just leveraging the Holy Spirit to help you have a holy moment. Maybe it's one a week. Then maybe after that it's 2 a week or 3 a week, right? Where I always feel like if I'm doing any kind of a project or something, you're in a conversation. You ever been in a conversation and you're saying, I wish I'd have said this. Wish I'd have added this. Yeah. That might have really helped that person. But you forgot. It didn't come to you in the moment, right? Well, this talks about leveraging the Holy Spirit to actually help you in that moment, and then opens your mind and your heart to complete the task. And so it's been really cool and impactful for me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Very cool.
Chris?
Yeah, I would say kind of keeping along similar lines. I've read this very impactful book called Unoffendable, and how just one change can make a life of difference. It's by the author Brant Hansen. And essentially, it's story after story of if we gave up the right to be offended, what would that look like? And honestly, we kind of along the same lines with the competition or co-opetition that we talked about. If you can remove the offense away from it, you can accomplish so much more. So that would be my recommendation.
And pretty much all veterans have long ago given up the right to be offended, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, because when it's like, every day, I'm not getting shot at. So it's a good day. It's a great day.
But I'm getting cussed at by somebody.
Wow.
Right?
Isn't that every day? No.
Yeah.
What about you, Chad?
Awesome. For me, I'll go a little slightly different twist here, and it's actually a book Chris Voss wrote, Never Split the Difference. It has been really impactful for me because it's teaching people how to keep communication going, keep conversations going by giving people the opportunity to say no, right? So rather than going, hey, can I do this for you? I'm saying, hey, would it be a bad idea if,
Okay.
right? So by leveraging the conversation like that, we're giving people the right to say no, and it helps keep the conversation moving forward.
I love that, Chad, because I'm an old claims adjuster. I mean, I grew up in the claims department, and I used to teach my adjusters, never split the difference. Yeah. Never meet them in the middle.
But is it what no in the military means new opportunities?
Yes.
I think.
That's awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much, Jeff. Thanks so much, Chris, for your time. And to our listeners, if you're interested in learning more about IIAD, I encourage you to go out to their website. Reach out to Jeff. I'm sure he'll be more than happy to talk with you. And as always, hit up the Alliance, hit up Chris. We'd love to hear from you. And until next time, make it a great one.